What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. I'm not even really sure, what I want to say or how I want to say it, but I know I have some things to say, about, the passing of Jason David Frank, who we know as the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, the White Ranger, Red Turbo Ranger, Red Zeo Ranger, Black Dino Ranger. I didn't think like this day would come so soon. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of those things where you kind of think that your heroes will always be there forever, but I guess I'll just kind of talk about what it was like for me, like how I found out about everything, my thoughts on it, and I think what we as Power Ranger fans should take from it, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so this video really, again, it's just for people who were diehard fans of Jason David Frank like me, people who had respect for him, people who loved Power Rangers, things like that. So yesterday I went to sleep early, or I think, the night before everything happened, I went to sleep early. I woke up about 6 o'clock in the morning and I went on Twitter, and that's when I saw that his name was trending, and a boxing YouTuber out of everybody was the first one to post that Jason David Frank had passed away. Obviously, it's unconfirmed. I'm like, who is he to know any of those things? So I was just like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just telling everybody, look, if you don't really know what's going on, shut the fuck up. Don't say anything, because I kind of felt those emotions and worry kind of coming on, but I kind of shoved it down because I'm like, nah, that can't be, that's not true. Especially, when they, was implying that he took his own life. Yeah, so long story short, it didn't become real until it became real. Everybody was saying once TMZ reports on it, then that means it's real. I remember seeing Walter Jones post it, and then that's when I was kind of like, all right. But then I told myself, well, what does he know? They probably don't even talk every day. So I was like, nah, it's not true. And it didn't make sense to me. Ironically enough, I had been watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie for a while. For like the past few weeks, I had time periods, just like in life, where I'll probably watch the same movie every day over and over and over again until I decide to start watching something else. But that happened to be the movie that I had been watching lately. And it did make sense to me. So I couldn't tell myself that Jason David Frank wasn't alive anymore. I couldn't tell myself that he killed himself. So I had to call, one of my best friends, and I had to tell him. And then by telling him, then it became true, because I told somebody else that. And then that's when all the emotions came out, because, me, like many other people, hundreds of thousands of other fans, he was someone that I looked up to. He was a personal hero of mine. He's the reason why I wear green. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to sleep with this thing every night. You know what I'm saying? So, he was just a very big part of my life. And I always tell people that if you think I'm a good person, if you think I'm cool, or, whatever, if there's any part about me that people find likable or respectable, commendable, whatever, a very significant portion of that comes from Jason David Frank, because I come from, a family background of a lot of toxicity and dysfunction. Like, I basically didn't grow up around people that, like I said in my other video, that made me feel good about myself. I didn't grow up around people that, wanted to build me up. So in order to compensate for that, I would, just focus on the people that you know, I wanted to learn from, the people that I wanted to be just like. And the very few people, he was one of them. So it was just very hard for me to even really tell my friend that. Honestly, it took me a few tries to just utter, you know, just that whole sentence in general, which it doesn't make sense to me, because, you know, I was like, Jason David Frank, not him. I was like, not, you know, he had Jesus didn't tap. And I'm like, he, you know, because Jesus didn't give up, so why should you? And I'm like, so if he came up with that, then like, how could he, you know, do something like that? You know, I just didn't understand. I'm like, him of all people? I was like, nah, there has to be some kind of mistake. You know, because I remember, like, you know, just being a kid, even me now, it's like if I watch, you know, like an episode of Power Rangers or something like that, I just remember, especially Mighty Morphin, like there's just something about like the intro of that show when he comes on, like it builds up to like when he shows up. And I remember like always being so happy to see him come up every single time. And, you know, people who watch the show, they know what I'm talking about. Like he does like the 2 kicks and then they show his name and everything. Like, I'm like, it's just like he makes people happy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just been a light for, you know, a lot of people. And, you know, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to point fingers at who I think is to blame. Obviously, we all know that there are things going on in his personal life that may have been a factor in terms of what was going on. And I feel like there's like a takeaway from all of this, because Jason David Frank is someone who his whole life has been dedicated to the fans, dedicated to making other people happy, being a hero for other people. And my thing is, you know, you can't be a hero for other people unless you're a hero for yourself. And I feel like he was probably just burnt out, you know, just tired, honestly. And it's easy to feel very lonely in situations like that, because you kind of always question, you know, whether or not like people really, you know, love you for you, or they love you because of the character that you portray, which obviously is not true. You know, I feel like, you know, we all came there to see Jason David Frank. We weren't there to see Tommy Oliver. We were there to see him. And I can understand. You know, I'm not famous or anything like that, but, you know, I've been there where you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, and you start to feel like, you know, you ain't gonna make it. And you see the videos now where they're like, oh, well, here are the warning signs. And then when you do hear him talk about mental health, and you hear him talk about, you know, the different things that people may be going through in general, you can kind of sort of see that, you know, maybe in talking to whoever he was speaking to, he was also talking to himself. And I understand that. I honestly wish he would have just like said, hey fans, like I'm going through something really hard, and I just want to meet with you guys and just talk about everything. And I would have showed up, you know, if I could have, because, you know, most people anyway, you know, people who commit suicide, I feel like they feel really alone, you know, and just not having anyone there. And I feel like maybe he forgot that he'd be better off here with us, you know, on Earth, than not being here. There was a video I saw like maybe yesterday, and he was saying that, you know, we as humans, or we as people, you know, we're 24 karat gold. We're of the highest value. And again, it's like, you know, you say things to other people hoping that it'll have an effect on yourself, because words are powerful. So I feel like, you know, he was trying, you know, you get to the point where you just try everything, you know, you try to, you just do everything you can before you feel like, you know what, well, I tried everything, it didn't work, so, you know, now I'm gonna just go. And, you know, there's always something else you can do, you know. I don't even think I could watch Power Rangers for a while without, you know, it hurting. You know, I feel like it just won't be the same knowing that he's not there. Honestly, I even got emotional watching the the episode where Burai, Burai, he dies in Zero Ranger, and just that ending scene, it just has like a whole nother meaning to me now, because he's not there, because we know that the Japanese Super Sentai actor, but the guy who really made it popular was Jason David Frank, and I'm more connected to Jason than I am to obviously the Japanese character. But it's just like, it just gives a whole new meaning to these episodes now, and the finality of it all, knowing that he's really not here, is just very, very weird. It's just, even on the way here, I cried a little bit just thinking about how happy, like he just makes me as a person, just like a source of strength. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. Even when I go to the gym and I work out, when I listen to, Power Rangers music, it's almost as if Jason David Frank was the one who's singing it, because I don't think of the singer, I think of him. And like if I listen to like I Will Win or 541 or Hope for the World, like these are empowering songs, and he's the only one that I think of when I listen to these songs. And I just feel like now it'd be so hard to listen to the songs because he's not here. And obviously it happened yesterday, or we found out about it yesterday, so maybe not enough time has passed, but I just wish so bad that like maybe there was something that somebody out there could have done, if not the fans themselves, because you gotta understand, you might have like lines of people that adore you, and fans that love you and want so much to be around you and love what you do and stuff. You can still feel lonely. Like shit, he probably could have been showing up to these conventions and stuff, signing autographs, feeling lonely as hell. I mean, I can only surmise maybe he didn't, but come on now, like, for that to have happened in November, that probably had to have been crossing his mind for, a while now. Like that might have just been a card that was on the table that obviously he didn't want to pull until he felt he had to pull it, because again, people who feel like they don't want to be here, believe me, they try. Like they want to be here, and they just feel like, yo, like, and I've even had moments where I'm like, yo, bro, like February shit, I might not even make it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had, moments where, I've tied up the suicide hotline, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then they had to just be like, look, you're tying up our lines. Why was I doing it? Because I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to, and, they don't really do anything for you unless like you're like on the ledge and really about to do something. But, outside of that, these are people that, again, they could only talk to you but so much. It's not therapy. Just again, my heart hurts because he was a hero and he's not here. But not only that, but just contemplating the pain that somebody so strong like him was walking around with, and then now he's gone. It's like when you think about Chadwick Boseman, it's like he was suffering from something for so long and we didn't even know about it until, he wasn't here. And it's like, wow, he was doing all of that and still was doing things for other people, because he did Black Panther for the fans, like it was for fans. It was for, audience viewership. Jason David Frank, again, he had the what was it, the Power Protection Program, and just helping comic book stores by being there and helping out and making people happy, just seeing them. And it's like, sometimes I would look at his Instagram and wonder, when would he ever have time for himself? Like where, like, what I'm saying? Like, when does he ever get time off? When does he get to do something for himself? But yeah. So, I don't know, but just the whole purpose of this video was really just to kind of, I don't know, like get it out, maybe talk about it a little bit. Maybe that'll help. And honestly, it hasn't at all. Like, honestly, I thought I probably would have cried a little bit and I didn't. But also maybe just, for other fans out there who don't know anyone who's a Power Ranger fan, who, you know, if you don't know someone who may have liked Jason David Frank, because me, I don't know anyone personally that was as big a fan of Power Rangers that I am. So that's why it's like, even for me, you know, maybe if this video makes somebody feel a little bit better about you know, this whole situation, you know, then mission accomplished, I guess. But what a legacy to leave behind, you know, because I said in my video, if it wasn't for him, Power Rangers probably would have gotten canceled. Like, let's be real, okay? Like, if he didn't come on that show and it was just the 5 Rangers, no knock to them, but he was that missing element that took that show to the next level. You know, they couldn't have given the role of the White Ranger to anybody else, and it wouldn't be the same if they got another actor. Because I think I don't know if they were going to get another actor, but I know they were thinking about maybe somebody else. Because I know JDF, he was doing I think he was about to do VR Troopers, or he was doing something else, and then they were gonna give him his own show, but they were like, oh no, come back, you know, we need you back for the White Ranger. And then he came back, and then again that show just, you know, went to the next level. Why? Because he had that X factor that resonated with kids all over the world. Like, that's why they couldn't let him go. It's like they rerouted that whole entire show just so he could be in it. You know, because the White Ranger's from Die Ranger. The White Ranger's not from Zeo Ranger, so they did everything just so he can be in it. You know, to me, he's the greatest Red Ranger in my opinion, because, you know, he was the Red Zeo Ranger, and, you know, then Turbo, then he came back. I remember being so happy to see him, like, because when I was a kid, like, and when I found out, you know, during Wild Force that they had Forever Red, like, I was so happy to see this guy. Like, when he came back, like, that was just like a moment in time. Even now, it's like I still feel like a little kid watching that episode, and you know, kind of just re-experiencing like just that whole massive team up, you know, amongst all the Rangers, and Tommy being the leader out of all of that. Like, so he always got his just due as a Ranger, because in real life they knew he was the GOAT. On the show they knew he was the GOAT. You know, amongst leaders, he was the fucking leader. You know, he was the man. Dino Thunder, it's the same thing. Like, he was the leader of that group because he had the most experience. You know, he was the smartest one, and he had the most wisdom out of all of them. Yeah, he might not have been the Red Ranger, but shit, he might as well have. You know what I'm saying? And then they always brought him back because he just means so much to Power Rangers. It's not even funny. It's just like, without him, there's just something missing. The Power Rangers 2017 movie is the same thing. If he's not there, you can't do Power Rangers, you know? When he came back for Bat in the Sun, and then the White Ranger versus Scorpion, the Green Ranger versus Ryu, like, he did these things for us, you know? Everything he did was for other people, you know? And it's fucked up that, you know, we don't know what was going on with him, and no one was there for him in his last moments. You know, it's fucked up. And normally, like, what I've done when Chadwick Boseman passed away, I did a what is it called? I did a commemorative video, and it's just, you know, a series of clips and sound bites of his that I thought were significant. You know, just to remember him, honestly, because people will always have little, you know, like Marvel put their thing out for him, and other people will do the same thing, but I wanted something that I created for him. So anytime I feel like I want to remember him in that way, I could watch, you know, my own creation. And I can't even fathom doing that for Jason David Frank right now, because I probably wouldn't even be able to just get through the clips, because it would just, you know, make me cry, you know. So I can't do it, you know, right now. But, you know, anyway, you know, so the point of this video that I want to get across to people that looked up to him and that are hurting too, and are, you know, just confused and distraught and sad, and, you know, maybe even depressed, you know, by the fact that our hero is gone, because we again, I would just knowing that he was alive somewhere doing something, would give me the strength to keep going because he did it. He was just a very empowering person. And the point that I'm making is that you are bigger than the things that you go through. And what I mean by that is the things that you go through in life, whether it's you have financial issues, you have girlfriend problems, relationship issues, family issues, health issues. You're bigger than those things that you go through. So they're very small in comparison to who you are. And what I mean is you can always get through those things if you choose to. It's all a matter of perspective. It's never the end, it's something that a YouTuber says, the sun is going to go down, but the sun is always going to come back up again. So, when things, get dark, it's just going to get dark for a little while. But, knowing that the sun is going to rise again on you should be enough to get you through whatever it is that you're going through. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, but you won't find it unless you keep going. It's like it's like they say about, rock bottom or like hitting rock bottom. The best thing about hitting rock bottom is knowing that it doesn't, like, there's only one way up. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you're at rock bottom, you're at rock bottom, but you can always rise up again. You can always climb up. And that was one of the aspects of Tommy Oliver that was the most realistic out of all of these characters. He was the most relatable. I'm like, he became the Green Ranger. He had to go through being, manipulated and controlled, and then overcoming that and then losing his powers. You know what I'm saying? And then getting his powers again to lose them again. One of the moments that because there's key moments in Mighty Morphin and in Power Rangers in general that I always go back to. Like if I might be going through something and then I might watch a scene in particular. Like one scene that I would watch is when is one of the last episodes of him as the Green Ranger, and it's when Goldar is just belittling Tommy. He's just saying, you're not the Ranger that you used to be. You're not the same because you're not the Green Ranger anymore. And, he's like, you must have saved, the Rangers 100 times. Look at how great you used to be, and you're not that anymore. And he's just talking shit and just talking down on him and trying to defeat him mentally, and then Tommy gets back up and he says, no, I'm still Tommy, like whether I'm the Green Ranger or not, and he didn't give up. He rose up. And I've been there where, again, like I had a father that would do that same shit, Like I'm just down. And then he's just talking shit, just the same type of thing. And then just seeing Tommy just transcend all of that would give me strength to keep going. Another episode, in Zeo, when I think it's, I always forget the name of the episode, but it's the beginning when, Tommy, he's having a nightmare of the Zeo Megazord getting destroyed. And then the voice comes on and then he says, focus on your journey, not your destination. And then he goes to the command center and then Zordon and Alpha, they're like, Tommy, are you okay? Like, what are you doing up so late? And then he's like, I had a nightmare. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, cool. Like Tommy Oliver has nightmares too, like, so it helps me, feel like related to and understood, because again, like we all, you might have a nightmare, sometimes. And just to see that, it just makes me feel better knowing that one of my heroes has, those same issues too. Or a breakup. Him and Kimberly were together, for a long time. And then when they broke up, shit, it hurt him. Like they showed that. Like they showed that your hero can go through things too. This is why Tommy is the greatest. It's not just because of his powers and how well he fights, but it's the human parts of him. And Jason David Frank was the one who made that so believable. He was the one that made that come to fucking life, because that shit got me through my fucking breakup. I had a breakup, had a 6-year-long relationship, and we broke up. So we were together from 2013 to 2020. You know what I was watching sometimes in the midst of that breakup? The fucking episode between him and Catherine, when basically I guess they get together and they have the dinner and then they have the song and then they dance together and stuff like that. And then she was saying that, she was saying to him like, oh, well, maybe you would feel better if you had someone else in your life. And I was watching that. I watched that over and over and over and over and over again, because I knew what it was like to lose someone because, you know, they moved and they weren't there anymore. And, you know, they dated somebody else or whatever. And then you over here, you're stuck trying to pick up the pieces. And then, like, even if you might be with another girl, you can be with another woman, but it doesn't feel the same. Like, he represented like just what we all go through as people, and he helped me get through that shit, you know? And I just wish there was something that we could have done as fans to help him get through the same fucking thing. If you were somebody that, you know, green, because mind you, I got on green now, you know, because again, like, green is my favorite color because of Jason David Frank. If you were someone that was, you know, greatly influenced by, you know, Jason David Frank, if you were someone that took pages out of Jason David Frank's book, if you were someone that looked up to him, if you were someone that took up martial arts because of him, like me, I don't train like, you know, karate or kung fu, but I you know, I box. And even then I would think of him when I would box, because he excelled at his form of martial arts and I wanted to excel in mine. If any part of you view Jason David Frank as a personal hero, then it is up to you. It's up to us to continue that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't end because he's not here. You know, it goes on, but we have to continue that because he's not going to be around anymore to, you know, go to conventions and to see him, to sign autographs and stuff like that. But, you know, in your own personal life, you have to continue. You have to keep it alive, you know, whether you have kids and then you let them know who he was to you, or I don't know, whatever it is that you feel like you can do to just, you know, keep his spirit alive, keep his memory alive, keep his legacy alive. Fucking do that shit. Because I am, you know, because my whole thing was for him to, you know, well, my whole takeaway from him is to be the leader, to be that guy, to never let other people control me, to not let things, you know, stop me, you know, to not let the things that people say, you know, deter me from being who I am, you know, without like your material possessions or without your relationships and the things that people turn to define them. They don't define you. You define who you are. And it's just like, remember all of his greatest moments, you know, and then just know that, you know, suicide doesn't make you weak. But it's just something that if someone else goes through it, just don't let it go in vain. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, you know, there was something that I don't want to say he made a statement with that, you know, but I just want to look at it from a meaningful perspective and from a meaningful aspect. Like, again, you know, physically he might be gone, but energetically, spiritually, he's still here with us, you know. I might not feel like that now, you know, watching, you know, Power Rangers and stuff like that. And I didn't know him personally, but we all as fans had some form of personal connection to him. And again, you know, if you got to cry, you got to cry. If you got to cry, cry. You know, if you got to be sad, be sad. You know, but when it's time to, you know, pick it up and be strong, do that. You know, be strong not only for yourself, but be strong for him, you know, for his memory, for his legacy. Because again, you know, I didn't have people in my life. Because if it's one thing that I took away from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie is he says, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You know, he says, remember what we learned? To those that possess the great power, all things are possible. And like, shit, honestly, if I watched that scene right now, it would probably break me, to be honest with you. You know, and I just miss him. Like, you know, just knowing that he's alive somewhere doing something, you know? And for the people that, made, because there's someone who made a video and it says reasons why I don't like Jason David Frank, and then he had all these fucking reasons as to why, you know. I hope you realize that people are human too, okay? Because I'm like, what if he saw that? You know, what if he saw that shit? You know, but anyway, you know, it's not about that. I don't want to turn it into anything negative, because I know on my last video there were some Jason David Frank haters, you know, on there. And you know, again, people are human too, all right? Like, Tommy Oliver was a symbol. You know, he was like a symbol, more or less. He was a character, but he was like a symbol of hope, of power, of courage, of strength, of you know, being human. You know, and Jason David Frank was fucking human. Like, people have their days. Like, not everybody's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I wouldn't expect to meet him and then he's like, oh, I'm Tommy Oliver. No, he's Jason David Frank. You know, I would meet, if I had ever gotten a chance to meet him, I would expect him just to be who he is. And I would want him to be who he is, because I always saw Jason David Frank. It's not like he was synonymous with Tommy. No, it's like, you know, he's an actor and I'm an actor. So it's like, I understand. It's like, you're not the characters that you portray. It's like Tommy Oliver means something and Jason David Frank means more, because Tommy Oliver is just like, you know, an extension of that. But anyway, so I think really that's you know, all that I have to really say for the most part. And I'm glad that I made that, you know, Austin St. John, you know, debunked video months ago, because again, in that video, you know, I was just saying that, you know, if I would have ever met Jason David Frank, I would really have said, you know, just thank you for being like an indirect father figure, you know, like an indirect like mentor, or like distant sensei, or a sensei in spirit, or a mentor in spirit, you know, father figure in spirit, you know, for never letting me down as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult. Like, you know, just thank you for everything that you've done, because everything that you've done has helped me every single step of the way. Every single minute and moment he spent being himself on this earth, it has given me hope. It's given me strength. It's given me everything I need to move through this life, because he was so strong. Because he was such a great person, you know, to me, you know. And despite any of the bullshit, you know, people have ever said about this man, like, it's never, not once, changed my opinion of him, and it never will. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their personal opinion. You know, what other people feel about you, how other people felt about him was never an indictment on him. And yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, like, just, that's what I would have said to him. You know, just thank you for everything that you've ever done in life, because I would not be who I am today if he did not exist. If Jason David Frank did not exist, I would not be, you know, who I am today. I would be some sort of different variant, you know, variation of who I am, you know, character wise, personality wise, but I would not be who I am today, because Jason David Frank was, because I didn't learn anything from my father. What I couldn't learn from my father, I learned from him. You know, because I only have very few people that I looked up to. I looked up to Will Smith, Michael Jackson, Jason David Frank, and like Wesley Snipes. And then other people are like, you know, people that I've met in life that I admired and respected. But those, as of right now, those are like the four figures that come to mind right now that played a very big part in who I am, you know, today. But again, Jason David Frank, Will Smith, and Michael Jackson were the guys that shaped me from a very young age, like 3, 4 years old, 5 years old. These were the three guys that I was constantly looking at, that I was constantly watching, you know, in my worst moments, in tears, hurting, in pain. I watched them and they gave me hope. He gave me hope. And you know, and he will live on forever. He lives on through, you know, us, you know, as fans, you know what I'm saying? Like he, you know, will go on forever. And I just want, you know, for me personally, I guess maybe this helps. I'm not even gonna lie, like it helps a little bit to talk about it, but I didn't cry. You know, the goal was to kind of get some emotions out. I didn't cry, but if anyone else takes any sort of comfort or, you know, relates to what I'm saying in any way, shape, or form, again, mission accomplished, yo. You know, I think us as fans, we might not all know each other. We might not be the most popular amongst, you know, the the Jason David Frank fan communities and stuff like that, but I feel like just collectively, you know, we're all in this together, you know. And then it's just important for us, if you can connect with somebody, maybe talk to him, you know, talk about the things that you remember about him, you know, all your memories and stuff like that. That's what keeps his spirit alive, you know, his legacy alive. That's what's gonna, you know, I think that would make him happy to know that how much we loved him, because spiritually he'll see everything that is being said about him. And I know he feels all of that. And, you know, that's what we need to focus on, you know, so it's not, you know, the negative, you know, not it's her fault, his fault, or because of the divorce or this and that. You know, it's not about that. And it's just about what we can take away as his fans, as students of his, because I would look at myself as, you know, a student of the greats. And he was somebody, again, that I just took mental notes, studied him, you know, from top to bottom and everything like that. So it's like if there were to be real life Power Rangers and stuff like that, I'm gonna have to be the Green Ranger. I'm gonna have to be the White Ranger. I'm gonna have to be every single Ranger that he was. Because again, it's like I wouldn't feel right being anything other, you know, than you know, him. So it's like I would want to follow in his footsteps, things like that. But I apologize if this video was very unconcise and just kind of all over the place, but obviously this is just a very difficult topic to talk about. Going into 2022, this was not something that like I ever could have predicted or imagined. You know, and my positive energy, you know, goes out to people that obviously knew him, you know, directly, family members, you know, things like that. And it's, you know, and it's just important to have real friends. And let me also say that it's very important in this life to have people that will be there for you no matter what. They will not judge you. They will always accept you. No, I mean, I'm not saying you go around hurting people and motherfuckers is just, you know, just accept you anyway. But I'm saying, like, be there for your friends, you know, be there for them no matter what, because you never know what the next person is going through. And that's why it's important to treat people the way that you want to be treated, because everybody is walking around with their own personal shit that they got going on, that they're carrying around. So when you deal with people, be mindful that they have their own storyline. They have their own thing that they're living and that they're going through that you don't know about. So give people a fucking break. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I can only imagine what the fuck that he was going through. And he probably couldn't even, like, people probably wouldn't even cut him any slack because he's got a busy schedule. He's got this, he's got that to do, da-da-da-da. And then his personal life. It's like, when the fuck can you catch a break? He was tired. Like, if it's anything, I'm pretty sure he was tired. But anyway, so eventually, you know, I hope to make, you know, a thank you Jason David Frank video. Just, you know, whenever, like, I can build up the fortitude as to where, like, it won't make me cry to make the video, because it's hard to edit the video when your eyes are just full of tears and things like that. But because like I said, I cried on the way here, you know. But yeah, so rest in peace, Jason David Frank, yo. Rest in peace. You will never be forgotten. You know, we will carry the torch for you. I miss you. We miss you. You know, my kids will know who you are, and what you meant to me. And I'm pretty sure, you know, many adults have done the same. So because Power Rangers transcends generations. So kids will like Power Rangers these days, and then they'll backtrack and then see where it really started from, and then they'll really see who was carrying, you know, that franchise on his back. Because, you know, that man carried the franchise of Power Rangers on his fucking back for 30 years. And I hope that there was a part of him that felt that he got his flowers, you know? I hope that, you know, at least if nothing else, I hope he left knowing that we loved him to pieces, you know? Because even Michael Jackson, somebody ultra famous like him, felt lonely. And if you're a subscriber to my channel, you know me about Michael Jackson. Like, he was someone that actually felt lonely sometimes. And you know, but anyway, this video is at the 40-minute mark, and I hope when I press unrecord, it doesn't say, oh, there's no space for this. But yeah, so rest in peace, Jason David Frank. I love you, I miss you, and my goal in life is to live up to your greatness, you know, because I've studied you, and the goal is just to have the same impact on other people, because that's what I want to do. I want people to feel inspired by me, you know, by my work, the way that they were inspired by him. And yeah, so RIP Jason David Frank, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.